Morning folks, thought I would do a little video before I just load up Path of Exile. I'd like to thank the supporters that have been still tuning into the videos, liking, tuning into Twitch as the support. It's been great. Moving on to the video topic, it's just a very quick topic. This may be the first league that I'm actually skipping. Let me open up these curtains so you can get some light in. So there becomes a point where I guess I hate to use the word gamer, right? But as a quote gamer, there are so many games to play. There are so many games that you can pick and choose from. PS4, Xbox, PC, Nintendo Switch, you've got even iOS, your phones, and there are a whole host of good games on every single device that you can find something to occupy your time. So to give your spare time to, well, this video or this game, you've got to choose to do that. And with Path of Exile, it's a very all-encompassing game. What I mean by that is, like, if you choose to play the league, you're pretty much locking yourself out of playing any other game for the foreseeable future, because to get through all of the things and get to the point where it becomes enjoyable, you've got to do like a lot of foundation work and a lot of building up. Right now, I've been playing the Uber Lab, and this is my first mapping character. So for my first mapping character, I'm having to level up. I've got my tabula, I've got some money from farming the lab, and that took well, I've been farming since maybe it was like day 3/4 of the league, so we farmed pretty hard, we got some currency, and we decided to re-roll into a very simple build, Ice Spear, Totems. I didn't want anything complicated. And there's a lot of groundwork. So for example, when I now begin to play the league, I have to do borderline minimum 159 maps with a specific outcome: magic, rare, corrupted, etc. So that's me committing now to 159 maps. Let's say each map takes, 3 minutes, maybe even 4 or 5 minutes with the amount of different stuff in each zone. You can be spending 5 to 10 minutes in a single map these days. That could be 1,500 minutes. Then you've got to probably trade for 1,500 minutes to get the maps, and it can be very sort of overwhelming thing for a lot of people. So when you jump into a new league, you're hoping the league runs smoothly alongside all the original content, that it sort of exaggerates your fun, improves your fun, improves the overall like joy you get out of the game, because otherwise you're effectively playing standard league, which is nice. You get a reset of economy when the new league starts, but ultimately it can be boring. Piggybacking off a Mathel video, he recently said that Synthesis feels like you're trying to play an extra job because there's so much stuff, and that he doesn't really know what's going on in the system. And as well as all that, there's just so much content to get through that there's, for the first time for me, like in like the history of Path of Exile, there's too much to do. It's actually reached a point where there's not too much to do in the sense of you don't have time to do it, because if you play for 3 months, you could get around to everything. The issue is that things take so much setting up and so much time to do that you've got to ask yourself, is it worth it? And right now, to get a mastermind, apparently you need to play to about level 98, and I think someone played to about level 98 and they did all the zones, and they had about 25% mastermind intelligence. So they haven't even seen the mastermind. The Betrayal League, you now have to unlock a whole host more stuff to go ahead and sort of get your unlock. So previously I think you had to unlock them once or twice. I think each one has now been slightly increased. The amount you have to find them as well has been decreased. So you have to find them more often, and the amount that are there's actually less, because you don't have Betrayal in each league sort of zone, because it's not Betrayal League. You have the new guy in every single zone. I don't even know his name because I'm a lab farmer and I haven't even seen him. It's called Kvass, is he, or something? And yeah, then you've got all the other stuff. So when you go into a map, you've got, right, I believe that's Syndicates, you've got Xana, you've got the Incursion, you've got Delve, you've got Bestiary, And to get all of these things to a level, and this is the important thing, to a level where it becomes fun, there's so much groundwork in Path of Exile that it's becoming, for me, just ridiculous. Like, if I go into my menagerie, like, I've leveled up 2 characters now, and I've played a little bit, and I've honestly got absolutely nothing in the menagerie. You know, the temples, they're heavy RNG. Delve League, there's no Sulfite Scarab, so you've got a very sort of... You don't get to sort of delve when you want. The game sort of tells you, okay, you have Sulfite, you now go delve. And otherwise, if you're sitting on Sulfite and then you come across the delve node, you're sort of wasting your Sulfite, and it becomes like the game tells you what to do rather than you picking yourself what to do. And I think that's been a slight... It's like a slight change, but a big thing. So instead of me going, I want to delve this league, I have to sit here and wait for the game to tell me when I can delve. If I want to do bestiary and I want to farm red beasts, and I just want to craft some really awesome stuff or just mess about with the bestiary system, realistically, I'm not going to be able to do that until this thing pops up and some things happen in combination. And it can become just so difficult to actually just go ahead and effectively play the game. And as well, the new league mechanic on top of it doesn't seem that fun. I've seen a lot of people discussing it, a lot of people talking about it, and overall it just seems like a very strange system. I'll demonstrate it now, because I actually, as a lab farmer, don't get to interact with the league content, so I really haven't messed with it that much. But what I'll show you is, I guess we'll encounter him in a zone relatively soon, and we can, yeah, just I guess demo how it is. It's effectively a little breach that expands. It's sort of like Battle Royale gas, except everything that drops inside it you've seen, and then it drops it again. So even that moment of excitement, like Incursion, where you sort of you get to see the loot pop out afterwards, that moment is also gone, because you see the loot happen immediately. And this is a good example of what I mean by the game telling you to interact with the content. Right now, this beast has appeared, and to be honest, if I want to do something with Bestiary League, I have to now kill these because they have appeared. I didn't get to choose when that interaction happens, and I didn't get to control it in any reasonable manner. It just happened to happen. So you can end up, yeah, playing for an evening, and you can have things that you simply don't want to happen. Now, I haven't interacted with the league mechanic too much, but I've had people that have just needed a certain piece and just haven't managed to get that piece for their board, and they just haven't really been able to progress in any meaningful way until that piece arrives, which seems to be randomly generated memories that, again, you can't seemingly control. And that can be frustrating, and there's just a whole host of things and tools. Like when I go into Path of Exile, I load up Path of Exile macro, I load up this thing, PoE Trade Companion, to help me trade. There's then Path of Exile Trade the website, there's PoE Wiki, there's PoE Item Macro, there's PoE Lab Compass, there's Path of Building, there's probably lots of other tools that I'm just forgetting that I don't regularly use. And on top of that, you now have to remember how the syndicate board works, which masters have the best rewards, which slots to move them into where and when. You've then got, on top of that, the incursion. You've got to remember what incursion rooms do what the upgrades are and the stages of upgrades, what is a level 2 room, how does that affect the zone. What does a level 3 zone do? Right, that's a belt room. I should be putting high level 40 belts in there. This is a corruption room. What's the level 2 corruption offer me? What does level 3 corruption? There's a whole host of knowledge. And for me, Path of Exile's become this game where it's like, it's making the game appear to have depth, but it's like a wall that looks really friggin' big, but then when you chip away at it and you get behind the wall, you're like, oh, there's actually nothing to it. It's just needlessly complicated for the sake of it. So here we go, you have Kvass. And again, this is why I'm not sure if I want to commit to the whole league, because there's so much to do that if I want to get my mine to a fun bit, I've got to do so much delving. I've got to set up all my mine again, the flares, everything. And then this is the new league content. So when you go in, there's a memory that you can stabilize. The game, like, the game says like that, this strange object is important, I'm sure of it. It hasn't really explained anything, so it's another thing that you need to learn about, because the game itself isn't explaining it. So you have to go to a GGZII video, and the only reason GGZII knows is because he has private chats with developers, he gets early access content, and he gets to effectively beta test the game, that he knows more about it than most people. And even in his video, there's still a lot of clarification needed by somebody like, I think his name is Carve, made an hour-long video on top of his hour-long video. So there's just so much stuff that needs to go on. So now I'm in a new system. Let's say I'm a brand new player and I just encounter this. You start to be flooded with these monsters. You're not really sure where you're going. Items are dropping. Should I pick the item up? Okay, there's a node over here. Interact to stabilize it. I stabilized it, not really too sure what that does. Now at this point, it hasn't really told me anything. So for me as a player, this is pretty much the first time I'm interacting. Should I go and pick up all that loot? Have I forgotten that loot that is gone? I'm now thrown out. The loot I've already seen that's dropped is now coming back out again, and that was it. And I'm now like, right, what was that? So then you can head to your memory nexus, and you jump into the memory nexus, and you kind of like, what is this? What does this mean? So interact to place a memory, and I've got this board, and as well, each board is separate, or sorry, each board is separate to the character you've created. So this board looks different to my labbing board. So now I might have got a piece that I needed through this gameplay, but my labbing character hasn't got that piece, and it just becomes like difficult to manage multiple characters and all that stuff, and it can just become like a very heavy system, and you've got to be sure you want to commit the time to it. Is the reward worth it? And I think a lot of people are jumping out of the league thinking, you know what, it doesn't actually seem that great. So you know, you've got this thing, synthesize an item into the Nexus. This is the first time I've ever clicked it, and it hasn't told me anything. So what do I do with this? How do I know? What do I do? Do I put these in? You know, do I put these items in? No, they fit in, but I can't synthesize them. So that doesn't do anything. So when I'm putting these in, I'm like, now is that... Now I know that they need to have fractured mods, but there's nothing in the game telling me that. So do I need to see a GGZII video for that? Or is it that maybe they're just the wrong combination of things that I need to put in? Maybe they all need to be unique. I can't do that. Maybe they all need to be belts or something. And yeah, I'm being a little bit facetious here, but you know what I mean? It doesn't really explain anything. There's a little bit of lore, but I think the game is just becoming like... It's trying to make it complicated, and the game's already complicated enough. And I don't think the memory nexus system is that complicated. I think it's just not very well explained, and it's lacking in a bit of detail. So it's not really depth. It's like that you think, whoa, that's so deep, and then you look at it properly after watching a GGZII video and someone else's video, and after 2 hours you're like, okay, it's actually really simple. It's just finicky and not well explained, and seems a little bit, you know, not very self-explanatory. And yeah, that's the point where you get to, and you kind of like, right, is that it? Is this what the league is? You've then got on top of it fractured mods, which when they initially released, I thought, oh, you get a fractured mod, and you combine that, and that'll be like the people will be making really cool stuff. I haven't interacted with it enough, but there aren't that many great items on PoE Trade, and I play in a small guild. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like 8 or 9 people in it. I haven't seen anybody link any good items, and we're people that grind a lot. Like 66 has been smashing the league consistently. He's messed around with a few items. I saw something with like a new type of implicit on a pair of gloves, but it was like kind of, it had like 9 fire res and something else. It seemed kind of mediocre, and that had to do with a lot of trading, a lot of storing items, and it just feels very, very lackluster. And when there's so many other things that you could be putting your time into, other games or other just aspects of PoE itself. Let's say you don't want to jump ship. Let's say you want to carry on playing the league, but you only want to play Delve. There's so much content to get through in Delve that you probably never get through it in 3 months anyway, if you really wanted to go into it. So the game's, what the game has become, and this is where I think to word it properly, is the game is at this impasse where there's so much content to do that you want to be able to do the content, and you want to be able to pick and choose what you do, because the content is so long and such a grind that you need to be able to control it in a more fluid manner, and you can't do that. So you, like I say, you might think, all right, I don't like the memory nexus, but there's plenty of other good stuff in Path of Exile. I will do betrayal farming. Somebody said yesterday they farmed for 11 hours to get one single Katarina. So 11 hours, that might have been one whole day gameplay for somebody. So it only took them a day. Hey, you've got 3 months. That's plenty of days. You could farm tons of Katarina. Most people can't play 11 hours a day and farm it as efficiently as he did. So it's probably going to take maybe 14 hours. And then let's say you play a couple hours, 3 hours a night. It's going to take like a week to see a single Katarina like arise. And that's okay if you're not that into farming betrayal. But if you want to, you need a way to control it, because the content's so, well, yeah, difficult to control. And then I haven't died all campaign, and then you enter into betrayal. You finally see a betrayal thing, and then you get one-shotted, and you kind of like, okay, am I happy with that? Like, is that tuning okay? And then you think, okay, well, fair enough, I didn't have very much life pool. I'm capped resist, but I didn't have very much life pool. I kind of went melee mode there. But that's kind of risky content. Is that worth the reward? Okay, let me just see what this guy gives me. Oh, I don't know what he gives me. I'll have to check the wiki. I'll have to check the Path of Exile Reddit. Oh, the rewards have been changed. Well, I hope the spreadsheet I was following last league has been updated by some nice person that's keeping up to date a Google Doc. And there's just so much content in the game that, for me personally, I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I want to sink my teeth into this again, because there's so much content and I can't control it, that I'm just sort of, it feels like I'm just at the mercy of the game. The game just decides, you got loads of sulfite tonight, you are delving, because if you sit on a full sulfite capacity and then you encounter a delve node, we've technically wasted it, and you don't know when you're going to get that next bit of sulfite, so you are delving, otherwise you're playing the game wrong. And yeah, it just becomes a very finicky, annoying system, and I'm trying to stay positive because I do want to play some new skills. I want to try out some new builds that I've not played before, but the whole restarting of content is frustrating, especially as well, we haven't even mentioned that betrayal is a different character. So let's say you got 99% mastermind experience and you were just so bored you wanted to play a new character. When you start a new character, you lose all progress, which is just ridiculous. So I think there's a lot of tweaks that need to happen right now, not just in synthesis, but as the game sort of as a whole, I guess. So yeah, I just thought I'd put my thoughts out there. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but that's how I'm kind of feeling right now. Thanks for watching.